All right. Chapter 15. We will not have this on the plan. Seasonal forecast. Very important, but will not be on the plan. Does this look familiar? And that look familiar? Will be on the plan. How's that? This is probably the most significant thing I talked about that I'll be talking about or have talked about in chapter 15. Being able to do this trend. And then being able to do MSE. And eventually in the other class you're going to learn the other models, equations to determine which one fits the data better. Alright, so where are we at? I don't know where we're at. Okay, I left this one to the end because there's a little something to it that's kind of tricky that if this were on the final, and it might be, it tends to fool a lot of people. So I want you to take good notes as to the trickiness to this, called the centered moving average. The centered moving average is easy. The trick is, here's the deal. You got to recognize if you're being asked to find the centered moving average using an odd amount of data or an even amount of data. That's the trick. Let me say it again. If there's a question about centered moving average, the most important thing that you don't want to get tricked about is it asking you to use an odd amount of data or an even amount of data? Is it a 3-period centered moving average, a 4-period centered? See, one's odd, one's even, 5, 2. Is the number of periods odd or even? That's the trick. That's the big deal. And when they're odd, man, is this an easy one. But when they're even, that's where everybody starts to go, what was I supposed to do here? All right. So what I did is I put together, well, hang on. You know what? I did this. You ready? How many pieces of data, forget that question. There you go. There's 8 pieces of data. But if you look at it, it's kind of representing periods in a way, and you'll see some repeating going on. So if this were, let's say, representing 2 years worth of sales or 2 years worth of something, whatever the numbers are in thousands maybe or something, what would you say, how many seasons or periods per year would you say there is? You got it. And so if we had enough time to get into seasonal indexing or forecasting, that is what you will determine then which centered moving average you're going to use. That's the trick. Recognizing how many periods are supposed to be used, or how many different seasons per year, for example, would be used in calculating these seasonal indexes to get the season out. Then do your trend. Then you'll do this to get your forecast. Then you use the seasonal indexes to put your season back in. And in this case, you told me 4, right? Even, correct? That's the hard one. So I want to show you 3, and then I'm going to show you 4. Don't forget, I'm only showing you this right now just to demonstrate centered moving average. How many different seasons do you think exist in this data right here, represented by 4 years worth of data? 3. Odd amount. In this one, you have to use centered moving average to get the seasonal index out of it, but this time you have an odd amount of data, so it makes it much easier. Okay, you remember 2-period moving average, 3-period moving average, 4-period moving average. Everybody remembers it, right? If I said to you, hey, I want you to calculate the MSE for a 4-period moving average, Austin, what period would be your first forecast? Let me repeat that. If I said I need you to calculate an MSE with a whole bunch of data here, and you're going to use a 4-period moving average, which period is your first forecast, Austin? 2. Oh, stop. 5. If you do a 3-period moving average, which period? You're looking up here. Yeah. Quit. If you get a 3-period moving average, which period is your first forecast? Shannon, hit me.
You said 3.
Oh, damn it. Thought you were all over it.
Cool.
Hunter, jump in. Okay. 3-period moving average, the first forecast would be 4, right? Everybody knows moving average is always the first forecast you could do to compare to regular data is 1 past the amount you're using, right? Centered moving average is the same thing, except it's not one pass. It's you're forecasting the center of the data you're using. So if it's a three-period centered moving average, you grab the 3 periods, you add them and divide by 3 to find the average, but you place it, not in the 4th period, in the center of the 3 periods you're using. And then you shift down. You ready? Notice there's no forecast here in this centered moving average because this is an odd amount of data and it's 3 seasons you told me. So we're going to do a 3-period centered moving average. We start with the first 3 and the center is period 2. You add 1856, 2012, 985, divide by 3, it equals 1,617.67, and it's placed in the center of the data you're using to calculate it. And here's the trick. Now you shift down just 1 period. Shift down 1 period. You use this 3 data, the same 2 data you already used above, but now you're using this as the 3rd data. 212 plus 985 plus 1995 divided by 3. Place it in the middle of the 3 periods you were using. Shift down. Now I'm using these 3 pieces of data right here. 985, 1995, 2165 divided by 3. Place it in the center. This is easy, right? The biggest problem right now is if it's an odd amount of data is where you place that forecast. Hey, is this a centered moving average? Is this just a moving average? Because if it's just a moving average, your forecast would have went down here to period 4 after adding those 3 and divide by 3. But because it's a centered moving average, your forecast goes in the middle of the data you're using to make the forecast. Does everybody get it? Look down here how there's no forecast for this last period. Because there's nothing there to make that the center of it. But here, these last 3, add them up, divide by 3, place right in the center. That's called an odd amount, an odd number of periods being used for a centered moving average. Okay. Look over here. You saw this data and you said, oh, here's a year, repeat number, so that's those 8 pieces of data. But we have 2 years here with 4 seasons per year. And I'm not going to make this hard. It's probably going to say at the top, calculate a 4-period centered moving average MSE. That means you come up with as many forecasts as you can using 4-period centered moving average to compare to the actual. But we start with the first 4 data. 552, 456, 322, 800. Add it together, divide by 4. But where do you place it? Period 2 or period 3? Because they're kind of both in the center, aren't they? I don't need a calculator today, Hunter. Not yet. But be all over it to correct me if I'm wrong. But I will towards the end. You ready? So I added these 4 together and I got 2140, which would be right here between 2 and 3 is 2140 divided by 4, which equals 535.75. Look at where it's at though. It's between 2 periods. Because the center, when you're using an even amount of data as the amount you're using, 4, 6, 2, the forecast you just calculated has to be in the exact center. And the exact center here is between 2 periods. The next step, just like with 3 periods, shift down 1. Do the exact same thing. It's 562's out, but now 568's in. 456, 322, 800, 568. Hang on, where's the middle of these 4 now? That's going to be right here. And when you add those 4, I get 2146. 2146 divided by 4 equals 536.5. That's right there between period 3 and 4. Shift down 1. Keep going. My question for you is, when I shift down 1, now I'm at 322, 800, 568, 468. Where's this one place? Between what?
800 and 568.
Between this 800 and 568. It's between period 4 and 1. Is that where it's at? Yeah. It's between the 4th period of this year and the 1st period of the following year. Right there. You add those 4 divided by 4, you get 539.5. Because you keep going. and get as many of these you can. So the last one's going to be, again, you got to look at this, the last one's going to be right here. The first one's after the second period, the last one's before the last two periods, right here. But because they're between periods, you have to do the extra step. And the extra step is, you grab two at a time, and you find the average of those two, always two at a time. It doesn't matter if this was 4, 6, 8 periods, you're taking two at a time for the next step. And you're grabbing these two right here, and you're adding together, and you divide by 2 to find their average, which happens to be, this one and this one, 535.75, and now that is the center moving average for period 3. Because this one was between 2 and 3, this one was between 3 and 4, that last step gets you right on a period. And you got to keep doing this with these all the way down, because none of these are on a period. They're all between 2 periods. This is a whole extra step you have to do when you have an even number of periods you got to use to find the center moving average. And you'll actually, and as much as I'm showing this, and possibly if this is on the file, I haven't written it, but if it were, and I asked for a 4-period center moving average or a 2-period center moving average, somebody's going to forget to do the extra step. That somebody's going to forget you're really calculating something between 2 periods. That's the tough part about center moving average. But I posted this as kind of a help, and I put it down in words. For example, there's 4 seasons in 2 years. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's year 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 562, 456, 322, 800 is the first year. 568, 468, 333, 56 is the second year. And I explained in words. Now you would find the center moving average for the first 4 seasons by adding them, divide by 4. Then move down 1 and find the 4-period moving average again. This time we're using 456, 322, 800, 5, and 54. Then, this is the extra step. Find the average of those 2 results to find the true centered moving average for an even number of seasons. That's the extra step that we have to do. And so, if I do these two now, 536.5 and 539.5, my question for you is, what period did I just find the centered moving average for? This is between what 2 periods, that's between what 2 periods. What period would that be? Because that extra step is making me land on a period. It's not because I'm landing on one awful, but logic tells you which period is that. 4. This is period 4 centered moving average. And these numbers out here, even though you're only going to have period 3, 4, 5, where's the last one land? And then you have these 2. The last one you're going to have is 6. You're only going to have 3, 4, 5, 6. You're only going to have 4 centered moving averages to work with because of that extra step. Where here, you didn't have the extra step, you're only losing 1 at the top, 1 at the bottom, where here you got to lose 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom, because you have an even number of seasons involved. Now, here's my question. If you were given just raw data, like that, and it doesn't matter, I'm not asking you to tell me how many periods there are in a year, but the top of it says, calculate, I'm going to make sure you get realistic here. Can you believe it? What are the odds? No eraser anywhere near the, all right? What if this looked like this, right there? And the problem says, use a 4-period centered moving average to calculate the MSE. You ready? How many periods will you have a centered moving average for to compare to an actual so you can get the difference in squaring it to get the MSE?
3.
So, how many?
3.
3. What are they? Tom, is that it? No, Nick, go ahead. What are they? What periods?
Between 2 and 3?
No, not, well, you have one between 2 and 3, but you can't use that.
Yeah, you go down, so.
So period 3 is one of them. Period 4, let me look here, we're using 4 periods centered moving average. That is it. That is it. You only have these 2 because a 4-period centered moving average, this will end up being the last one you can do. You can't do one here. And this, there's nothing here to put another one there. So you would calculate, even though you have 6 pieces of data there, you go, oh my God, I can't believe I got to do this whole problem, it's going to take me forever. when you get to this point, you're comparing this one to the actual from period 3, this one to the actual period 4. You find that difference and square it. You add those two squares and divide by what? Well, wait, we are recording, not all at once. This is the last day, right?
It's all the numbers.
Does anybody need participation? Hippie.
Would be
How many? No.
6.
No. No. Let's go back. Start over. This is going to be a 4-period center moving average. Here's between two periods, between two periods, between two periods, and that's all we can calculate. There's no 4-period center moving average. We can only get these 3. We got to use these 2 to get here, these 2 to get here. We only have these 2 to compare to actual. This compares to 3. This compares to 4. Here's the difference. Square those. Add the squares and divide by what? Say, Ricky. 2. We only divide by however many squares we're using added together. Remember exponential smoothing, how I said never use that first one? And it would be a good idea to use count if you have this on Excel, so you're always dividing by however many squares you added. Don't accidentally divide by 3 or 4. It's however many squared errors you added together is what you divide by to get that MSE. But as you can see, once you get this done, it will go really fast because you're only adding 2 squared errors. 535 minus 322, let's just use 213.75, whatever. Blanky blank time minus 800, let's pretend that's 290. Those are the errors. Now I square it, big number, I add those 2 for the total sum, and then I divide that by 2, and you just found MSE. MSE is always whatever forecast you can get to compare to actual, compare them and take that difference, square it, add the squares, divide by the number of squares, there's the MSE. 100% chance this is on your final. 99.9. I could be treated. But I'm writing it. 99.9% chance though. You've got to get this down. Which I also then posted. Where's the good one? What do I need on the final? What do I need on the final? Just checking. What do I need on the final? There it is. Okay, good. Just saving a bunch of emails. That's all. You ready? Just saved a bunch of time. Are we ready? Here we go. Here's the raw data. And this example that is posted for you to have and use to prepare and in front of you while you're taking the final if you want. You're using whatever. Here's the data. I'm going to click right here. You tell me what's going on. Because right there's the forecast. What kind of forecasting technique do you think is being used here? A blankety blank period something what?
3 periods.
That was simulcast. 3 period. I forget the rest. No, God, I thought you had it. Did you say that too, Senator?
No, I just said 3 periods.
I think it's just 3 period moving average because if it were centered 3 period, your first forecast would be in period 2, the center of the 3. But it would be the exact same formula for sure, but it would be placed there. This is placed in period 4. So it's a 3 period regular moving average because your first forecast is always after the amount of period you're using. Shift down, next one, next one, next one. What's happening here? Finding what? Finding the difference between what? The forecast, which is the 3 period average, and the actual data. Keep going down. It's going to be the error between each of those. Anytime you can get a forecast there to compare to actual data, we will. And then you go over here one. Whoops. There we go. And what's happening now? Squaring the error. And we're adding all those squares right here. What is happening here after we add all the squares? Divided by what?
Numbers.
How many? Or if we use count. Count, parenthesis, cell location, colon, cell location. Give me the cell location. There you go. E4, you said? You can even use E1 because you never know, right? Or too if this all sends a centered moving average. Because what we'll do with count, it won't count any blank cells here. It will count how many have numbers and divide by exactly the ones that have numbers in them. And let's see if that's what I did. This is so long ago. It is. Now I'm into E4. Well, actually, this really could be E1 all the way down, and you still divide by the right number. Because it's just going to count the ones that have numbers in them. All right, what's happening? What's happening here? Same exact data. 82.5, 81.3. And you're looking at this and you go, well, let's click here. What's going on? What forecasting method do we think is going on here? Look at where the first forecast is. Georgia, jump in. What kind of forecasting method do you... Well, oh, man, that was the eye movement of just waking up from a daydream. Austin, jump in.
It wasn't sleeping, it was just a jump.
No, daydream's not sleeping. It's the rapid eye movement where you just go, okay, I'm out of that dream. What's going on here? The rapid eye, go ahead. Austin, jump in. 4-period moving average, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not placed in the center. And you don't see that other calculation, well, maybe, but it's a 4-period moving average. The tough part is, if this were a 4-period centered moving average, where you'd almost have to write a whole thing that finds what this is, which really would be between 2 and 3, then it finds what it then moves down and finds it all in one calculation, and then adds those two together and divides by 2 and places it right there. That then would be a 4-period centered moving average when you look at that. But yet, and so it wouldn't be written like this because there's so much more involved. But yes, 4-period moving average. This is probably the difference between the forecast and the actual. Squared, MSE, adding the squares, divided by, let's see if we use count again. Tell me I went all the way up to E20. It could be E20 to E34, and it was still divided by the same one because none of these have numbers in it. But obviously I was rushing. Yeah, I just want to see when I did this. From 2008, I was in a hurry. 11 years ago, is that true? Wow. I didn't have gray hair back then. Just kidding. All right, ready? Exponential smoothing. It's at the top. This is too easy. Let's see. My question for you is, what's the smoothing constant on this exponential smoothing forecasting thing we got going on here? The smoothing constant. What do you see? This is like a quiz. Where's it live? Say it again. 0.4. Taylor's all over it. And then the opposite of the smoothing constant is being used with the previous forecast. You see that? The smoothing constant times the previous actual plus the opposite of the smoothing constant times the previous forecast added together. How many is being divided here to find that MSE? Hang on, I gotta look at it. How many are being, what's it being divided by there without the count? What's it being divided by a number? I heard 15. Who said it? No, James. Almost so. I like it. I like the effort. I appreciate it. Ricky, instead it's what? John? 14. Because you never use the first one in exponential smoothing. Thank you for remembering. The bad news is if I use count in this, because there's a 0 there, it's probably counting. So did I end up using count? It's divided by 15, possibly? Is that 41? I can't see the cells. Darn. Oh no, again, this is 41 right here. But you should, so this is correct, but I would have left this blank so that if I use count for this whole thing, it's going to not count that cell. I just happen to be counting from here to here, so it is 14. All right, tell me what's going on right here. What? Danielle, are you ready? Ready? Valerie? Come on, guys. Look at it. We are recording. You know this is the last lecture.
This smoothing constant's 0.5 and then
0.5 smoothing constant. Really? Oh, wow. So the opposite would be also 0.5. It's kind of a rare thing to do, by the way. Very rare to use 0.5 and 0.5. You want a little weight on one or the other because you're trying to figure out which one would fit better, putting more weight on the previous actual or more weight on the previous forecast. But here's a 50-50, same exact thing. We're finding the forecast all the way down. On exponential smoothing on your final, probably. And the bad news about exponential smoothing, take your time to slow down a little bit, because if you make a mistake on one of these first forecasts, every forecast will be wrong from that point over. And don't get me wrong, I'm not taking off all the points just because you got one little forecast wrong up here. I know we'll have to take the half a day to go through all your calculations to figure out where the error's at, so I only take off points where the error is made. That's the only bad news behind it. And then I'll finally look who this is, and then I'll have this awful feeling about it. So, you don't want that. There's all kinds of energy around this, and we'll just get right to you. All right? So that's how you're going to use this to prepare for MSE. No ifs, ands, or buts. You've got an MSE in your future somehow, some way, somewhere. And then I posted this right here. Different data, 12 pieces of data there. Is this a center moving average or just a moving average?
Oh, not center.
I'm sending you home. Somebody here to pick her up. She can't drive in this state of mind. Moving average, 3 period. Look at the first forecast. Period 4. Next one over. Is that a center moving average or just moving average? Moving average, because it's a 4 period. First forecast is in 5. So if you had this picture on a final, and I said to you, using cell locations, enter the entry in G5. Let me get my pen out. G5 equals. Here we go. Right, don't look it up, Katie. I see you. Don't open up that spreadsheet real quick. Not yet. Give me G5. Give it to me without it. What's going on? Help her. What's going on first?
Cells G5. You can't even see the numbers.
Oh. Well, that would help. Okay. Ready? G5. Oh, G5. What did I say? I meant G10. G10. I meant this 5 right here. So G10. G10, something's going on. Who wants it? Jump in. Who wants it? James, come on. You're with me now. I know you are. Right? You with me?
I don't know.
You won't? Jacob? Stop. What is going on? Is everybody here today? This camera thinks no one's even here. Seriously. Really? I mean, I know it's nice out, kind of humid and rainy, but...
It's a D6.
Here we go. Equals. D6, dollar sign, no dollar sign.
No dollar.
D6.
Through D9.
That's it. Just I put D6 and dot D9 like this. Just do some. He wants to add some in front of it. You okay with that?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Now what? In parentheses. Now what? Divide by what?
Divided by,
This one right here.
yeah, would you have to count, divided by count, and then,
Divide by what? Oh, you don't have to do a count.
okay,
Give me a number.
this one?
Sounds good. Correct. You guys got to be ready to do that. You got to be able to look at this and know what's going on. Go ahead.
So in the final, we can just use 4, we don't have to do like count.
The instructions may say use cell locations, count. I don't. Now that we're talking about use count. But if we had not had this conversation, I probably would have said this. So this would have been then. Let's just go 4. But this. How about this though? What? Where am I? What's going on here? What is this? Oh, we're forecasting in the future here. Is that what's going on? So we don't have this MSE. Here is this then. Okay, I'm over here now. But if I'm asking you to do this right here, what's going on here? There we go. All right. Help me write this right here, Justin. Are you ready?
No.
What? I'm sorry? You ready? Justin? Come on. Jonathan, you ready? Georgia, this is your chance to make up.
This is my chance.
Are you ready? We're doing this right here.
I can't even see that far.
Darn it. I'm going to make it bigger.
Okay, MSC.
Yeah. Yeah? Yeah? What are you looking at notes for? Come on.
I don't know how.
Are you serious? Kayla, are you going to do this? Can you help? Justin, you back?
I'm ready to help.
If you can help, help me. Seriously, come on, you guys.
Even look my way.
Alex, will you help? Go for it. This right here, so you're saying do this again. What to what? Equals.
G10.
No, Lisa. Equals what?
Some.
Sum. So here we go. I don't remember what we're doing here. Equals sum G10, right? Is that what you said? G10. I want to look and see if that's correct. Is that correct, you guys? G10? That's J, isn't it?
Yes.
J. Is it 10 though? Now one. So this is 10. Okay, sum J9 dot colon J17. Okay, 17 parentheses.
Yes.
Okay, now what? Divided by. No, stop. What was that? I heard it.
J20.
No. Count. Where did it come from? Thank you, John. Ready? Count. Wait. Yeah. Count. Parentheses. J. No, not J16. J9 again. There we go. J. I lost where I was writing. J9. Dot. J. He said 16 or 17. 17. Right there. Parentheses. That's it. It's just you're writing a command that will add all of these and divide by however many of these exist. That's it. You guys, you see how long that took? You won't finish the quiz. That's the final. You will not finish it. We got to get together here. We got to get on ball. Well, so far this has been nothing but review. Some of the center moving average. That's all we got. That's all we have left. We're not going to do the season. Hey, I wrote something down I want you to take with you. Yeah, where'd it go? Oh, I know what it is. Does anybody use, like, to keep track of what your tests are, what an assignment to do, some kind of, like a planner, not necessarily a planner, but some kind of system to keep yourself organized so you don't miss deadlines? What is it called? What do you use?
Library.
Memory. It's memory. Shannon, when you get in the real world, you got to stop with the memory. No, you do. I'm being serious, you guys. What do you use? I'm sorry.
This is a reminder app.
Planner, what do you use?
Reminder app one.
A reminder app. I like that too.
It comes
In
with
the
time.
business world, you must. This isn't just, oh, I can get away without this. No, it's not like school. First of all, multiply however big you are in school times 10. All right? Times 10 at least. And do not rely on your memory. That's ridiculous to rely on your memory. Your memory only holds so much, kind of like RAM memory in a computer. And if you keep pushing stuff in, stuff's going to have to go out that you wish would not leave. And so if you have a planner, you put it in a planner. And many companies will force you to go to planner classes. This is how important it is in business. Businesses, I've been at 2 different companies where everybody had to go through the planner seminars because everybody has to make meetings, everybody has to meet deadlines, everybody has to remember everything. And you can't rely on just memorizing it. You've got to have a system, get it out of here, and then you develop a habit of looking at the planner however many times per day, at what a certain time per day. When I was in the business world, the first thing I did when I woke up and that awful alarm went off is I grabbed my planner and see what I got going on that day to see if I could call in sick. Of course I did. Of course I did. Much as I always wanted to. Don't get me wrong, whenever you get a new job, it's like a new car. But after that, it's all about, how do I not do this anymore? What do I have to do? And then you have the temptation to just rob a bank. And then you get that out of your system. All right? And you just start saving. Right, hear this? And then you learn how to live on your means. And you say, I'm saving. I'm saving. Whatever to motivate you. I'm saving. I'm saving. And for me it was, first it was I wanted to own my own business because I'm working for assholes.
That's what we're about to do.
And then my motivation was, I just want to sleep in every day. I gotta save, so I have to wait to sleep in. You know, I'm a human. I want to make my own choice when I get up. You know, this have to be there at 8 in the morning with a half-hour drive is just, you know, it's a cigar on the way in, a cigar on the way back.
Yes.
You get the stress off me. I mean, you gotta have a planner. Don't expect to memorize everything that has to be done. So, develop a planner habit now. Be ready. And start working on your credit score. I'm not trying to suggest put everything on a credit card. But when you walk up to drive into a gas station to pump that gas and you're about to pull the cash out of your pocket, have the self-discipline to say, okay, I'm going to take this cash and as soon as I get home, I'm putting it on the side and I'm not touching that cash. And I'm going to use this credit card that's going to build my credit score when I graduate, and I'm going to pay for the gas because I was going to pay for it anyway. And when I get this bill for that gas and the next gas and the third gas, all that money I put aside, I'm going to take it and get a money order or however you're going to pay for it, get online, put it in the checking account, and I'm going to pay that bill in full. I want to make sure everybody heard that. And I'm going to pay that bill in full because I put the money aside and you were not charged any fee. You weren't charged a penny of interest. This is absolutely free. Almost every credit card will allow you to do this as long as you keep paying it off in full. Oh, I got to pay my cell phone bill. I got the cash right here. I'll put it to the side because I'm going to have to do this anyway. I'll use the credit card, knowing I won't touch that cash, get a couple of gas, a little grocery, always put the money aside, bill comes, I use that money, I pay it full. When you first graduate and you don't do this, your credit score starts at 600. You're not even getting a mortgage, you're not getting anything. You've got to get that score up over 700. And what I'm just telling you in your senior year or junior year, and if you only be on the self-discipline, you cannot use that card for anything that you can't pay off when the bill comes in full. You have to pay it off in full, so you only use it for things you've got the money for already right in your pocket, you set it aside, then you pay it off in full. If you do this for a whole year, you will raise your credit score all the way to 700 in 1 year. 1 year. And then you keep doing it. I've been over 800 for 30 years. And that's why I was able to buy all those houses when the housing crash took place. Because everybody, their brother, throws money at me because you have an 830, 840, 850. I thought I was going to win some prize. The highest you could possibly have for months. I thought, oh my God, what are they going to give me? Who has 850? I mean, I asked everybody. Nobody has 850. I got on some audit committees to see everybody's credit score. There wasn't another human being that had 850. I swear I thought I was going to get an award. I don't know what happened. But they throw money at you. And the reason I made that killing on houses after that crash is because of my good credit. And because I knew the stock market was going to have a problem, and I said, I'm not taking any more risk, pulled it out, and just sat on the save line for a couple of years, earning savings before the crash. You're earning like 4% of your money just having it in a savings account. The crash happened. Got this money in savings account, doing nothing. All of a sudden, these houses are starting to be given away. Giving them away. Does everybody understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
This is all going to happen to you too. And if you do all these things I'm telling you, you'll be able to retire early. Now, I was already retired before the crash. So I had already spent my life saving, making unbelievable sacrifices because I was on a mission to save as much as I could because I hated working. That was my mission. And because I was on this mission, I stopped taking vacations. If I got a week off, I figured out a way to make more money. I'm making money from work during my week off, and I'm making more money because I got something else going on, a project of some kind. I just kept saying, and I looked at all my expenses. Back then we had phones hooked to the wall. I don't know if you guys remember. That bill, and back when I first graduated from college, is like $90 a month for a phone. And I kept working on it, saying, how do I get that down? Got it down to 80, got it down to 60, got it down to 50. IP phones came out, you can have a phone over the internet, got it down to 40, got it down to 30, got it down to 20. Wait a minute. The cell phone you can use any time, as many minutes you want. Phone, gone. Got it down to 0. This phone, 80, 70, 60. Every single bill I had, I'm constantly working on getting the cost down until it's down to as low as you can possibly get it. I used to have a cell phone, all it would cost me was $3 every month. That was it. $3 a month. That's how cheap I was. I was the cheap. My friends, that was my, they knew on my head grade they have to put cheap because that's how I lived my life because I was on a mission. You need to find your purpose. You need to find your own mission. Right? You got to do this, or you will just walk through life spending more money than you make, having problems that you have no idea where these problems come from. You don't deserve these problems. And this is someone else's fault. These problems aren't my fault. You know, I'm just living through them. And I'm just giving you the road to happiness. Because as soon as I left my position, as soon as I said I'm not, and then I got asked to be a president of the company, I went back for a while. Then I left again, and never looked back, never went full time again. And I said, what do I find fun that I can earn money? And this is it. For me, this is fun. Grading is awful. I hate it. If they would let me, and I asked every single year, I asked for somebody for a grading assistant. Every year, and the answer has been no. 13 years in a row I've been here, no. All right? If I had a grading assistant, they don't realize I do this job for free. That's how fun this is. So find that. Find that job. Find what you find fun. And start doing it on the side while you're working the job that you like, but you'll eventually hate it. Because that's how it is. You see how much the person you're working for is making, and you go, God, all of us are always about, this is so unfair, that's so unfair. I heard this special about little kids. They had a complaint phone at the nursery. The little kids could use it for anything, and they recorded every call. The little kid would walk up and give a complaint. And all the kids all wanted to say, Blankety blank did this, that's not fair. Blankety blank did this, that's not right. And that was every single call, and that's how it is in life. Everything we see, we're going to go, God, that's not fair, that's not right. And so I've learned that when I wake up in the morning, I literally say out loud to myself, you know, I say, how do I get my mind back now? Thinking about all the injustices that are happening in my life. And you all are going to have injustices happening throughout your whole life in waves. Some are going to be so bad, you're going to go, what the hell is this life about? And you're going to get through it, and everything's going to be fine, get back to these normal. Okay? Just remember, you're going to be okay, you'll always get through it, and it's coming. You'll have at least 5 throughout your life. One is your parents dying unexpectedly. You're all going to face it. And it's an awful thing to go through. All right? You can least expect it. I see a couple of you imaginary. Wow. You realize how awful it's going to be, right? But you'll get through it. And life will go on, and you'll get back to where you can handle it again. I forgot my point. Oh, you get out of the shower, you got to say something yourself, because you have to get your mind off all of the injustices that you keep thinking about that's going to drive you crazy. Right now, somebody who's working at a job, someone working. Right now, there's something going on at your work that you think about at least a couple times a day that you go, God, it's just awful, and it shouldn't be that way. Right? That's how life is all your whole life. And so when you get up in the morning, you say to yourself, you know, I'm going to stop worrying about that. And I say to myself, I today am going to focus on what it is I need to complete today. And if you get your mind focused on just one day, and all the stuff, the injustices will leave, and you'll get the things you need to accomplish done. And then I always add at the end, whatever you do, stay humble. For me, that is so important in my life, to stay humble. Because if I break out of the humbleness, I see so many more injustices, it just drives me crazy. Happening to me, all of us. And that's just what life is. And you just realize whatever's happening to you is happening to them, and happening to them, and it happens to all of us, and nobody can escape it. No matter how much money you have or how little money you have, it's going to happen to all of us. And you just get up in the morning to go, I'm not going to think about that. I'm going to focus on what it is I need to accomplish today, and I'm going to stay humble. I'm not going to let things bother me, and I'm going to stay humble and focus on what I need to accomplish today. And that's how I get through it. And being here lecturing is the funnest thing I have in life. For me, this is fun. This isn't work. I love passing on knowledge so you don't have to go through the hells that I've gone through. All these little things I'm telling you about were awful back then. But now, you know, I'm passing them on. I want you to learn from the awfulness I've already gone through. So you can be ahead of the game. I want to repeat something I've already told you these 3 times. Match up your career to something that you have born natural ability with, and at least, even if you're working for somebody, that career you'll be much happier in that career than you would be if you're working a career that's using your weaker area. If I were in a career where I had to write articles or write books, I would never have gone anywhere. I'd be stuck at that job, wondering, why am I not getting promoted? Why is everybody else getting promoted? Why am I not getting the raises everyone else is getting? Once I shifted over and I got into a job using nothing but numbers, my career took off because I was born with a natural ability in numbers. My sister, when I was in kindergarten, is that what it is before first grade, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
She was in the same elementary school, much older than I am, but she would drag me out of class and take her to her teachers in elementary school and say, count for them. Because there was no end to my counting, and I guess that was a big deal, that all my other kindergartners would stop at 100 or 150, and I could just keep going forever. And she said, how is he able to do that? You know, little 5-year-olds counting forever. And then it happened to me again. I realized, okay, I might have something to do with numbers because I get into like junior high and I get called down to the office and they said, we want you to go to the 8th grade class. We know you're in 6th grade, but we want you to go to algebra. And I thought I was in trouble. And instead, they're putting me ahead 2 grades of math out of nowhere. I didn't even know they knew I existed. And then I get to the high school. Oh, and I got to get back to my stuff. They also put me ahead in programming computers. Then I get to the high school, and the computer class says, this is your computer class. You got to take this. I'm a freshman with nothing but seniors in the class. And I'm also the shortest kid in the whole high school. No, the whole high school. I'm not even at driver's ed yet. When I get to driver's ed, I have to sit on 2 books. This is no kidding. 2 books to see over the steering wheel to be able to drive, and the seat's not going up far enough, so I got to put something behind me to reach the pedal. I'm that short. You with me? At 15. I had nothing but seniors in that class. So once I realized numbers is my thing, my career took off. So you got to figure out what your natural thing is and try the best you can. If not at first, because you get that first job and get experience, try to shift over into a career that's using your natural ability. That's the key. You've got to do that. Okay? One last thing. You get to a company, you're going to be invited to some events put out by the company. Christmas parties are a very big one. And I can't tell you, the worst decision in the world is drinking too much at a social event that all your coworkers are there. That is the worst decision you ever made. Don't get me wrong, if it's a small company and you're not a college graduate, you're just an employee, get drunk. Go for it. You're a college grad, this is your first year at the company, second year, it doesn't matter, you're at your first Christmas party, there's 100 people there, this is a fairly good sized company, you're drinking, everyone's drinking, you better remember to stop in time to not get drunk. You get drunk, if you do something that's embarrassing, you know, you're not just embarrassing yourself, you've ended your path to success at that business, and you won't even know it. You won't even know it. And if you accidentally, what's the word I want to use without offending anybody, have relations with a coworker out of the blue that are not serious whatsoever, you're both have ended your career. One of you will be gone no matter what, and the other one just won't get promoted much farther than as far as you want. So does everybody understand what I mean by this? Don't get drunk. And if you are going to date a coworker, you better make sure in your mind before you go on the date is, this could be something serious, because that's fine. If it's good, if it can be something serious, and the other person says, yeah, this could be something serious, then everything's good. And if it doesn't work out, you're still okay. But if it's just a hookup, you're done. Everybody understand what I mean? You're done. You're done. You don't even realize it. You are done. Your career's over. You think nobody knows? You're done. That's how done you are. You don't even know you're done, and you think no one else knows what happened. That's how done you are. Do you understand? I can't give you this advice any more firmly, because I know half of you won't take it. Because that first Christmas party, 3 drinks. What? Oh my God, I gotta take some in my pocket. I gotta drive with these. Okay? Don't get drunk, and don't